about 280 miles, but that was because I was driving 75 miles an hour. So, once you
Well,
get...
that's impressive, though, because I thought it would be much less.
No, when we did that, you might remember we took a Chevy Bolt EV to Enchanted Rock.
Yep.
What was more important than anything was wind drag. So you're right, that is a big deal. And we had a kayak on the roof and 2 mountain bikes hanging off the back of the car.
Wow.
And we lost about 25 to 30% of range based on wind. Obviously, no kayak this time, but we bought 2 folding e-bikes that folded up really small. Not could be recharged from the Tesla.
Oh, God. Only you would come up with something like that.
Well, okay. Guilty as charged. But we took these e-bikes, we rode them around in the national park, and were able to recharge them from the Tesla, so that was really cool.
Did the national park have chargers?
I was going to ask.
Absolutely not. No, Rivian has a deal with Colorado state parks to put what they call adventure chargers in. And that network is already, being constructed and is out there. But in the national parks, there's just no facility for charging at all. Fortunately, Estes Park has some really good infrastructure for charging both CCS, CHAdeMO, and Tesla. The Tesla chargers were very poorly located. Hey, charger companies, you really need to put these next to coffee shops and restaurants so that people can have something to do. In Estes, they put us right behind the Stanley Hotel, which is the hotel that inspired Stephen King to write The Stand.
Oh, yeah. Been there.
Yeah, you're already in this semi-creepy, parking lot behind the hotel, away from any eyewitnesses. So if the hedges come in, done. But, we had a wonderful time. A couple other things. We bought a self-inflating mattress that's part memory foam, part air mattress, that is specifically not designed for the Model Y. It's 4.5 inches thick, absolutely comfortable to sleep in the car at night with the heat going or the air conditioner going. We did all the driving from Fort Worth to Rocky Mountain National Park by full self-driving in the Tesla. You can rent it now for $99 a month, so we turned it on for that month. And we went across the Continental Divide. Trail Ridge Road is the highest paved road in the United States, going across the Continental Divide, and they had not opened it when we had arrived. The snowfall is so heavy there in the winter, they've got to wait for the snow plows to get it all gone. But 2 days before the trip was over, that was done. So we actually drove under autopilot from Glacier Basin Campground, which is about 8,500 feet, up to the peak of the road, which is almost 13,000 feet, and then down to Grand Lake on the other side again, right around 8,500 feet above sea level. And the car did all the driving. And these are hairpin turns where if you go off the road, you are over. I mean,
it's scary.
And this thing would maintain the speed limit, maintain safe turning speeds, and did all the driving for me. And actually did a better drive than I do driving Trail Ridge, because especially on the downhill parts, I tend to get above the speed limit. This thing would keep me at speed limit. And believe it or not, one day we went as high as we could on Trail Ridge and back down, and we used negative 11 miles of range because all of that downhill regenerated more energy than we had used going up. And I don't even know how that could be possible, because that, to me, sounds, physically impossible. But when I got back, it said I had 11 more miles of range than I did when I left.
Now, let me ask you this. Let's go back into this conversation just a little bit. You said something about a mattress. Did you sleep in the car?
Yes. Yeah. Tesla has a thing called camping mode. So you can run the stereo all night long. You can charge all your portable devices. You can run the air conditioner or heat all day long, or all night long. And so I wondered, being the math guy that I am, what's the impact? Am I going to have to drive into Estes Park every day and recharge this 90 kilowatt hour battery pack? Or, is this going to be negligible? What is it? So the second night we did it, we actually measured the range we had remaining when we went to bed, and then the next morning when we got up. And all of that heat all night long used up 14 miles of range. So that's 4 kilowatt hours of electricity, about 40 cents you would pay at your house. And I heated that car all night long. Now we're in a sleeping bag, so that's helping keeping us warm. I think we set the heat to 60 degrees. but it was freaking awesome.
This is what this really is it's a Nash that you've converted with the sleeping seats in it.
Fold down.
Isn't it? That's what it really is.
Volkswagen would not come out with the ID Buzz in time for me to get the hippie one, so I had to get in the Model.
And that's a cool vehicle. It looks cool.
You know I love you in some sort of strange way, but I'll tell you what, dude, this whole thing to me is just, it's perfect for you. It's weird. I don't know how.
It is definitely perfect.
Who would come up with this idea? Only you. I'm going to take the
mattress company that makes the mattresses. Tesla made camping mode. I mean, there's a lot of people really interested in this. In fact, I have a photo open on my laptop here. I thought that. Am I going to?
But what's it? About 10 vehicles done. Is it Don Armstrong? No, it's not.
Away. It was right across the parking lot, one place over, and it was a Kia Niro EV. So it wasn't even one of the super recent models. And on the drive up Trail Ridge, I saw Cybertrucks, I saw Mustang Mach-E's. I mean, these things were all over the place up there because they've got good charging.
Of course, you also have to keep in. Well, there's a pot shop on every corner. Yeah, it's like a gas station. They took them over.
Does the Bear charge it?
That is no lie. We were at a Tesla charging bank, and I saw this family get out of an SUV, and this was right near a gas station as well. And these two men went walking off in the distance. I didn't think anything of it, and they came back, and they had these little baggies, and they're showing them to their family, and the family's all jumping up and down. And I sat there, and I thought, I'll bet right behind me there's a what do they call it? A dispensary.
Yeah.
Sure enough, I look over my shoulder, and there was a dispensary.
So does a Bear charge his EV in the woods?
Yes, he has to, actually.
Well, the old song, "One Toke Over the Line, Sweet Jesus," apparently rings with you. Yeah, I can only imagine.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, it does.
It actually was. It was a wonderful trip. I haven't been up there this early in the year in many, many decades, actually, now. But, whenever they first plow that road, there's this wall of snow next to you, probably 14, 15 feet high. It was cool to see that again.
Well, I have to give you just a very brief, because I've already been over this, and I was angry when I actually reported this, that I had an all-electric vehicle here recently, within the past 6 weeks or so. And I could not, in the city of Houston, find an EV charging station, a fast charger, one that worked, one that the car told me I could actually use that worked. I wound up having to go from my work in through the city of Pasadena to find a fast charger behind a Chase Bank over there by the drive-in, which is removed, as you can imagine, from the actual building itself. Found it, and just to get it, took me 3 days and 3.5 hours of my time that I'll never get back to find a damn charger. Now, this is in the city.
What car were you in?
It was a Kia.
Oh, so it had a CHAdeMO connector.
It was an EV9, brand new.
Oh, no.
It was an absolutely stunningly beautiful vehicle. I loved every bit of it. But the infrastructure, it took me to apartment buildings that had a level 1 charger that it didn't tell me. A level 1 charger behind a gate. What is that? I don't understand. It just is not user-friendly at all. Now,
yes,
you are a deep diver into this, and I get all of that, and I appreciate your appreciation for EVs and your beating the band and all of that good stuff. I get that. But in real life, really, I'm a journalist. That's not good.
Oh, you're exactly right. And what's happened is Tesla has paid the dues for the entire industry. They went out and built a charging network, and somebody had to pay for that, right? So everybody that bought a Tesla car, it's in the price of that car. Well, GM, Ford, all the other guys, they didn't want that additional cost in their cars, so they've all really held off on developing their charging networks, which Originally I thought, hey, the gas stations, were independent of the dealers and the manufacturers. Why don't we just let this market happen? But Tesla did show us the right way. They came up with a very simple design. They can install one in 4 hours once the infrastructure is in place. They're now selling those to third-party charger installation companies, to other people that can start their own networks. But you're absolutely right. Now, what is really great, though, is Texas got $409 million of the NEVI funds, and
they're not doing a damn thing with it.
Actually, they are. The first stage is under construction right now. They are popping up. You'll see them probably south and southeast of, say, San Antonio in the beginning. Along line evacuation routes, there'll be 50% more chargers they're going to have for the others. Those chargers will all charge all Teslas and all American-made EVs and many foreign-made EVs, except for the Asians that use CHAdeMO. So phase one is just going to be border, along the major interstates every 50 miles. The next step, though, is every single county in the state of Texas is going to get a bank of DC fast chargers. By default, it would be located at the county seat. But if the local government or group that is monitoring things decides they want to put it somewhere else, and I'd recommend that they put it right in the middle of their downtown shopping district to get people to visit, spend money in the town. But that stage is about to come. Now, if that stage had already happened, this is going to take 3 to 4 more years to finish it out. But if that stage has already happened, I could reduce the number of stops for charging by at least 1 charging stop, maybe 2. And then I would have been able to only stop to charge at hotels at night, level 2, or when I was on the road when I was having a meal. And so then there would be no impact on my driving time at all. It would be just like driving a gas car. But yeah, the charging.
Well, I find that hard to believe, but I'll just take your word for it. I want to move on now into something else before we leave, because we're kind of running short of time. And that is, why are all of these EVs sitting on dealer lots not being sold?
Primarily interest rates. Adoption rate is still very high and very aggressive, especially, believe it or not, with the Kias and Hyundais. They are showing 80% year-over-year sales increase. So and they don't qualify for the federal income tax credit. That's another interesting thing. The Kia and Hyundai dealers, and probably the manufacturers are behind this, are just giving it as a discount.
Why are they not selling Ford electrics? The Ford Lightning.
Yeah,
they're sitting on lots.
Well, I think a couple of things. One is that most people think they've got to tow really heavy stuff all the time if they buy a pickup, although my experience was most of my customers never towed anything.
No.
Who bought pickup trucks from me. But the impact of towing on the F-150 has shied away some of the traditional type truck drivers. By the way, I saw an F-150 Lightning in Estes Park trying to charge at the Tesla chargers, and those weren't opened up to Ford yet. And I was able to show him local charging that he could get to that was specifically for his Ford.
Okay, now not to your EV thing, but I think if somebody were to ask me what would be a good thing to have right now, I would say go for the hybrid, because it's the best of both worlds. You get the EV experience, and when you run out of juice...
As you know, I've driven plug-in hybrids for over 10 years. I think of them as training wheels for full electric vehicles. And if you've never had an electric vehicle before, struggling like with the old traditional hybrids to get 45 or 50 miles per gallon, when you're running on electricity, you're running an equivalent of about 100 miles per gallon. So stay with a car, a plug-in hybrid, that will let you stay electric until it runs out of electricity and then switches to gas, instead of a traditional hybrid that if you get above 35 miles an hour, it's going to switch to gas.
Buzz, we love you. Got to run out of time here, so you take care of yourself. Let's stay in touch, and have a good summer.
All right. Have a good one, guys.
You too. Buzz Smith, Mr. Electric himself. The In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available 24/7 through the iHeartRadio app. Just look for In-Wheel Time Car Talk. Podcasts on your favorite podcast provider. We also video stream our 3-hour weekly show on Facebook, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com. In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show continues after this quick break.
Pro-Am Auto Accessories has been serving Houston's auto enthusiasts since 1984, providing world-class products for sports cars, European sedans, and American muscle. Pro-Am is known as the place to go to find exclusive and hard-to-find parts and accessories. Pro-Am is one of the very first distributors in the USA for brands such as Recaro, Redline, Momo, Corbo, and Simpson. Located in the heart of Houston's premier retail and service corridor, the Galleria area, Pro-Am's walk-in storefront includes an 8,000 square foot warehouse, showroom, and installation bays. Pro-Am not only sells parts and accessories, but also offers installation and service. Pro-Am is now reaching a worldwide audience through Pro-Am.com, taking its local reputation to the rest of the world. At Pro-Am Auto, you'll be dealing with a small group of professionals who truly want to help you with your automotive needs. If you don't see what you're looking for on the website, call and Pro-Am will lend you a hand. Pro-Am Auto, 6125 Richmond at Green Ridge in Houston area. Call them at 713-781-7755. Want to feel good about something special you did for someone special? In Wheel Time and the original Lupi Tortilla group of Tex-Mex restaurants have joined together to help a very World War III charity. We know there are lots of places and organizations out there where you can donate a car, truck, or SUV, but we're asking you, our car enthusiast family, to consider donating to God's Garage. Visit godsgarage.org and learn about its mission, the women that have been helped, how each one is screened, and about their Restore You program. A car donation is an easy way to make a difference in the lives of others. God's Garage needs good operating vehicles, but will take all types in working and non-working condition. Make your heart and soul feel good by donating your gently used vehicle and help support single mothers, widows, and wives of deployed military at godsgarage.org.
Welcome back to the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Time now for the Cruise-In calendar, and Jeffrey has that.
Okay, well, today's Saturday, June 22nd. You've got going on right now, you got the Kingwood Classic Cruisers Cars and Coffee up there at the Whataburger in Kingwood. And then later on, you've got June Cars and Coffee at Freddy's Cafe. That's going on a little later. That's at 16804 Barker Springs in Houston. Not quite starting yet. There's one at 11 o'clock this morning, goes till 4 p.m. That's H-Town Toys 6th Annual Car Show. That's in Cypress Station Drive, 1910 to be specific. It's in Houston. You've got tonight, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., you got the weekly Cruise-In in Montgomery, Texas. That's in Montgomery. Tomorrow, big day tomorrow, Sunday, 9 a.m. to 11. You got Garages and Gearheads in Katy at 1435 FM 1463. There's a lot of fours in that. Garages of Texas and Katy. And then 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Sundays at Freddy's. And then 3 o'clock, you've got weekly car meetup in Willis, which is just north of the town here. What you talking about? So there we go.
Electric vehicle startup Fisker filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection on June 17th after months of quality issues with its Ocean crossover, a failed attempt to partner with a major automaker, and hundreds of millions of dollars in losses. Like other companies in the electric vehicle industry, we have faced various market and macroeconomic headwinds. What is that?
Don't know.
That have impacted our ability to operate efficiently, Fisker said in a statement. No, Fisker didn't. Some PR person, macro. After evaluating all options for our business, proceeding with the sale of our assets under Chapter 11 is the most viable path forward for the company. Goodbye. Roughly a third of consumers refuse to buy a car that lacks smartphone integration. No surprise there. According to a new McKinsey & Company consumer survey, 30% of global electric vehicle buyers and 35% of global internal combustion engine car buyers said a lack of support for smartphone integration is a deal breaker. That figure may have big implications for General Motors, which said in December it is phasing out such integrations in future EVs because they want what you're doing in your car through their system. U.S. consumers are similarly rigid. 25% of EV buyers and 38% of gasoline-powered vehicle buyers would not purchase cars without smartphone mirroring. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto mirror the mobile phone interface on infotainment screens, and the services are popular. Both saw installation rates above 90% in a mid-year survey of the 2023 model year vehicles by Ward's Intelligence. You'll be sorry. Remember that? In the cartoons back in the day? Don't do away with Apple CarPlay. Don't do away with the Android application either. That is a death knell. If you want to sell cars, that's something that you don't want to do. What are you guys doing over there?
Well, I'm trying to load a commercial because
And
it's
I'm
almost
trying
top
to-
of the hour, and he's trying to fix the internet at the same time. So
And-
we kind of have a little pushback.
Yeah.
All fighting over the same
We are.
computer
We
like
are.
a little 12-year-old girl.
We are. Because
It's mine.
my computer says it's right.
And he's
Listen, we know about you and your computer. You've been looking up dirty things on there.
No, not at his computer.
You've done something weird over there.
Dirtiness.
It's got it all messed up. Okay. Well, I'm going to leave this hour with this story. Los Angeles Lakers player is suing a custom car business over a deal involving a $1 million Ferrari he wanted to buy.
oh boy.
And a 1967 Ford Mustang to sell. Spencer Dinwiddie.
Why? Why would
Spencer
you do
Dinwiddie,
that? Why would you do that?
who signed a $1.55 million contract with the Lakers in February, filed a suit this month against Wires Only and its former general manager, Chadwick Hopkins. Wires Only and Hopkins featured in a 2022 reality show called $1 Million Wheels. Dinwiddie bought his Mustang from Wires Only in November of 22 for $699,000, according to the LA Times. He later agreed to pay $1.05 million for a 2022 Ferrari SF90 Spider that Hopkins helped him pick out and put down a $350,000 deposit on the car. Lawsuit claims the Ferrari purchase was contingent upon Wires Only selling within 45 days. But the shop sent the Ferrari to him immediately and wasn't able to sell the Mustang. I'm going to buy another crib in Malibu. I need the $350K back. And the Mustang sold, Dinwiddie texted Hopkins in April of 23, the lawsuit said. Hopkins has disputed Dinwiddie's characterization of the deal. The $350,000 wasn't a deposit. It was an initial installment payment on the purchase of the SF90 Spider. And the story goes on
He
and
said
on.
he got what was his contract? 1.5 million or 15 million?
1.5 million.
So he blew his whole budget on a car,
Ding, 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 ding.
and he's got to get another crib.
Bye.
So what's the difference between a down payment and the first installment?
That's a
payment?
good question.
Yeah.
I don't have the answer.
And why would you
to
get rid
that.
of that hot rod for the whatever?
We'd love to hear from you. Shoot us an email. The address here is info@nwheeltime.com. More of our show after this.
The original group of Lupe Tortilla restaurants will have you telling your family and friends just what the original recipe means when it comes to the best fajitas in Southeast Texas. Founder Stan Holt invites you to visit the first Lupe Tortilla near I-10 and Highway 6. Here is the original house that inspired the design of all the rest and the original charm that helped make Lupe Tortilla the go-to destination for Houston Tex-Mex. Nothing can compete with the original lime pepper marinade that everyone will agree makes Lupe Tortilla award-winning beef fajitas the best anywhere. Lupe Tortilla Katie's another location that gives you the same quality and service Houstonians have come to expect at Lupe's. It's located on 99 the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard in Katy. Find yourself in Aggieland? Head to the Lupe Tortilla in College Station. Located just around the corner from Kyle Field, it's a great place to enjoy those famous frozen margaritas before or after the game. Going to Louisiana? The Lupe Tortilla in Beaumont is on I-10, so you can't miss it. The original group of Lupe Tortilla restaurants has the best Tex-Mex anywhere, and you're invited anytime.
You know, it's amazing that we even get
Yes,
this
it
show
is.
on the air. Welcome to the N-Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Just ahead, Pikes Peak Hill Climb Head Cheese.
Boy.
Richard Tomlin.
a
Also,
restaurant?
Jeff has this week's racing calendar, and Mr. Mars offers 5 cars under $15,000. And wait till you see this lineup. Howdy, along with Mike Out of This World Mars, we need more Jeff Zekin and IT Director of Engineering David Ainsley. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad that you could join us today. Let's switch over now and see if we can talk to Richard Tomlin.
There
Hello,
he be.
and come in, Richard Tomlin.
Good morning, John.
Oh my God, he's there, and we got him. I can hear him, I can see him, and it's
The
truly
first
amazing.
time for everything, right?
There-
First time for everything.
Where are you?
Colorado Springs.
Where?
Oh boy.
Colorado Springs,
Colorado
just outside of
Springs.
Pikes Peak.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. I was there a couple of weeks ago. And want you to know.
Guest was over in Estes Park too, so lots of people up here right now.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, we saw them setting up because I actually went up Pikes Peak 2 weeks ago.
What'd you think?
I was scared to death.
Did you take the Corvette?
No, I did not take the Corvette. I had a Lexus RX 450H Plus, and especially on those switchbacks, I don't know how anybody could have their foot to the floor at any point going up Pikes Peak. I just don't get it. And will I ever go back again? No. You'll have to cart me up there in a hearse to get me back up there.
So you saw the starting gate where we actually start the race.
Yes.
So
then they were preparing everything. They were preparing everything while I was up there.
the record from start to finish is 7 minutes and 57 seconds.
Here, let me answer that with you. Oh, hell no.
It's something that even us as racers, it's hard to believe because
daunting.
It's so fast. It's so quick.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that some mental health care should be available down at the bottom of the mountain because those people are crazy.
Yeah, so we're aiming for a sub 10 minute in our car this year.
Wow.
We ran a 10:26 last year. And
sub 10 minutes.
We're on target to break 10 minutes to cover the 12.43 miles, 156 turns to the top of Pikes Peak at 14,110 feet.
Yeah, I'm very well aware of all of that. The switchbacks, the three switchbacks that as you reach the peak of the mountain itself.
The W's.
Yeah, that is frightening to say the least. If you want to die of a heart attack, well, there's your answer right there.
Yeah. So during practices, we actually tow the cars up. So you've got the Ram truck, 2500, towing a 30-foot enclosed trailer. And there's a line of, 25, 30 of us going up there. And that diesel truck that is tuned for Houston sure does like to smoke a lot up here.
I'll bet.
So it kind of gives you a bad feeling. But
yeah.
It's interesting around the switchbacks and the W's getting up there with the big trucks. It's a very cautious maneuver that's made.
Well, I saw something interesting on the way up there myself. I saw a school bus that had a whole bevy of people inside of it, just regular people hanging on for dear life as this driver was running up those like he did it every day.
Jamming the gears.
Yeah, and he did it every day clearly. And I didn't pull. I thank God he didn't get behind me. But there was a law enforcement officer that was behind me for quite some time before I could get over to the side to let him go by.
Right.
So here I am, Grandpa Don, hanging on, white knuckling it all the way. Thank you.
Yeah, you'll be okay.
Well, I am now. Now that I'm down here about 50 feet above sea level, I'm feeling a lot more comfortable, and I can breathe.
Yeah, breathing is a real thing. Our driver runs oxygen on the way up, and it helps them because heart rate's so high. Once you actually get up into thinner oxygen, it does become an issue.
Your heart rate is high.
Yeah.
No kidding.
I'm about to die.
And it's not because of the lack of oxygen up there. It's because of fright. I can tell you that.
What's interesting is we tell people how high it is and how extreme this event is, but until you actually drive the road like you did, you don't realize how high and how extreme it is. And the fact that it's been going on for 102 years is even more impressive.
Well, and here's the other thing. That path up there from one point to the top was not always paved. It was basically a gravel road. And that in itself is like, you could slip off of this. No big deal. Yeah, it's a big deal.
There are men running now that actually ran when it was all dirt and run now when it's all. And they feel that it was safer on dirt because they had more consistency knowing exactly what the car was not going to do than when you actually have the grip and the grip goes away and then you're just along for the ride. Okay. So this is interesting conversations with these men.
To say the least. It kind of builds and you really don't expect it. Okay, yeah, we're going up this grade and it's no big deal. And then you pass that point where they give you the little sticker for your window and then you're on your way and it's a little bit steeper here, a little bit steeper there. And pretty soon you're damn near, all you can see is sky. And I'm going, this is not good for me at my age. And the other thing is that it is one of those deals. I have to ask you this: do they run slicks?
Yes. Yep. Yep. Even run tire warmers in the pits to warm them up first, because you don't get a chance to have a warm-up lap or a warm-up area. So you either have tire heaters, tire warmers, like you would see in F1 or any of the bigger race series, or you use a propane heater to heat up the center of the rim, which thereby heats up the carcass of the tire. Or you do it old school and you just set them on a skate and keep them in the sunlight until you have to put them on the car.
Why?
And I get as much heat as you
Why
can
did
into
you
them.
raise your hand to do this? I always had a lot more faith in you that you were a sane person. I just all right. I won't even go into that. But here.
So let's go into the sane part. Hop on and pull on Yuri. He's on hold in the group. Yuri is our driver that will be wheeling the car up. He's the one that qualified third in the open wheel class, and you can ask him about all that, because he's the one that's truly the madman. I just built the machine. He's the one wheeling it up there.
Yeah. Have you ever driven it?
Oh yeah, I've driven it plenty of times.
Yeah. Do we have?
So,
Is that Yuri that's with
Yep.
us? Wow.
Yep, you should have Yuri right there.
Yeah, I see him. Yuri, can you hear us? Can you see us?
Yes, sir. Can see everybody. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yep.
Yeah. So what's it like inside the insane asylum?
And is that how you're describing the car, or which one in particular is being part of the team?
The whole kit and caboodle.
Yeah, everything. Dude, what is the top speed that you go as you're heading up the mountain?
So we are gear limited strategically to about 123, 124. We can bump the red line a little bit to pick up a few more mile an hour. Qualifying is probably the best place where we got a sense for the actual top speed we're going to hit. We're a little bit lower on the mountain where we can use our horsepower, and we have a couple of straights. So we tickled, I think, 115 or 116 in qualifying on Wednesday, I believe. So, or Thursday.
Yeah.
So we're close. We're close to our red line. We picked our gearing just right. But yeah, it's also, I think it's a good thing, because with the way that being on a highway, essentially, the braking zones are not braking zones. It's, you're just braking on a road basically. So I think it's a good thing that we're capped right there.
Do you ever look down?
No.
You never look down.
You're
Are you
talking
not-
about down at the dash or down at the down to the side of the car?
Down the side of the car when you're teetering on the edge of the roadway that has no guardrail.
It is hard to ignore it just out of your peripherals. And obviously I have I think in a good and a bad way, I have a better appreciation for it than, some of the drivers that fortunately have not experienced what's on the other side of the white line. But no, it's there in your head. It's always a good gut check, but no, you're basically laser focused on the two white lines. It's not tunnel vision because your peripherals do pick up a lot. But I definitely am always aware of where the drops are. You just try to make the circuit as flat and as streamlined as possible. So your gaze is only where it needs to be, and you're basically just picking up your visual markers for either turning or brake.
Yeah, and there was a song written about that. It's called "Jesus Take the Wheel."
Is that what it is?
That's what it is. Yeah.
Well, hopefully he sits this one out on Sunday, and I'll take it to the top.
Yeah. Well, we certainly wish you the best of luck, and say a little prayer for me, as they say.
Where is it going to be broadcasted? Can we watch it?
Yes. So it's basically going to be live streamed on Mobile One's YouTube channel.
Okay, that's what it is. Yeah.
So I don't actually know the link, but for all my friends' family, I just tell them, hey, go look up Mobile One live stream, type that into YouTube, and that should bring you there. And Pikes Peak does a pretty good job as far as organization. They'll kind of fill in some of the quiet time or downtime. They'll have some other drivers come into the booth and talk, and they have kind of somebody takes point and talks you through some of the points of what's going on while cars are running or while we're having a little bit of downtime.
Well, as I white-knuckled my way up there at about 5 miles an hour through those switchbacks, all I could think of was, okay, so we got all of these people up there, racers, trailers, tow vehicles, everything is up there. And, when I was up there a couple of weeks ago, they were setting up the porta potties and that sort of stuff. But there are only a couple of areas that I saw Of course, I was also laser focused, if you, to use your term. A couple of areas up there where I could see where you guys could kind of pull off, and where it looks like they've cleared a little bit of an area, a couple of places on the way up the mountain. Is that where you guys camp out? How does that work?
Yes. So for each practice section, essentially they strategically have staging lots. So Glen Cove's a natural place that's usually for downhill descent for visitors. That's a place where you can pull off and cool your brakes after coming down from the switchbacks.
Yep.
Devil's Playground is also a big staging area. It's not really a paved lot; it's just dirt because of just how rough the conditions are there most of the year.
And I like the way that they call it Devil's Playground. That doesn't work for me, but go ahead.
Yeah. So no, they have some good spots to pull off. Now, if you have a mechanical issue, just depending where you are on track on race day, that's where you have to get a little bit more creative. And some guys, unfortunately, they have downtime or they experience a failure somewhere in the W's and the switchbacks, and you have very little pull off room there. So and you're on a very steep incline, so you better hope your parking brake works and you can keep it in gear and whatnot. But essentially, it's the race has been running for over 100 years, so they figured it out now where everybody needs to stage and wait. And it used to be even crazier because when Lowe ran in 2013, you could actually see it was very much of a rally field. You had spectators sitting there right in every apex, around every corner, basically a couple feet from the car. Maybe some people got within inches of cars, and so the committee decided to kind of push the fans back a little bit, so they're a little bit more clustered. Halfway picnic ground, ski area, the Cove. There's places where the fans are packed in and you get a good viewing. But
do you ever
used to be a little bit.
Do you ever worry about things like a broken axle in the switchbacks? That would be a little bit nerve wracking.
I worry about everything, honestly. But once again, going back to the laser focus comment, I trust in the team to keep me safe. That's about the only thing I need from them. If we lose power or if something doesn't quite run right electrical wise, I'm not upset. My main thing is I just need brakes and steering. Everything else is on me. And yes, I definitely worry in the switchbacks and the W's. To me, that's the most dangerous spot where you have the biggest drop off. So it's in the back of my mind, but you have to curb that anxiety and that fear for sure in order to be able to even drive through there at speed.
So, Richard, the U joints in these things about the size of a basketball, or how does that work?
No, actually, they're regular Ford 8.8-inch U joint, something you can actually walk into O'Reilly AutoZone and buy.
Oh my God! Really?
Absolutely.
So, you don't use super heavy duty, for instance, U joints on.
You refresh everything annually and you inspect frequently.
Yeah. And what about the actual axle shafts themselves?
Axle shafts, funny enough, are actually Miata axle shafts. That's what we run in that car. Yeah, how's that make you feel?
No, it doesn't make me feel any better at all.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing how some of this stuff actually works. And then again, it's just verify, trust but verify everything.
So you don't worry about overpowering any of these components?
We've tested them very extensively over the years. I mean, remember this car, we first campaigned it up here in 2016, and it's been to Real Mexico a couple times. And I mean, we've gone through 4 or 5 sets of tires in the last probably 4 months at MSR. So testing down locally with better temperatures and better grip than what we have up here, we're very confident that we've engineered a piece that will survive.
What is the current temperature up there on the mountain?
Depends on where you're at altitude-wise. The other morning, when we pulled up to the top, it was 29 degrees when we got there. That was one of the days we did not get testing. Cloudy, windy, below freezing. Before we left the mountain, of course, it was back up to 42, and then at the bottom, we're 74, 75 at the bottom.
Now, let me just tell everybody that hasn't actually lived this sort of thing. So I get up there to the very top of the mountain with the visitor center and the nice parking lot, and there are still mounds of snow all around, and the kids that have never seen snow are out there throwing snowballs and having a good time, and I'm going to say, I'm just going to stay here in the car if that's okay with you.
A little hot chocolate.
Yeah. I don't think most people realize that you could be in your shirt sleeves at the bottom of the mountain. In the top of the mountain, you better have a jacket on a day like you're talking about.
Yep. Yeah, it's bizarre the weather changes that you'll see, and we've had race days where at the bottom it is 80 degrees at the start of the race, and by the time they get to the top, they've actually had to send cars back down because there was enough hail coming down couldn't drive up.
Yes, I've heard those stories.
Mother Nature is a real thing.
Well,
so
let me tell you something. At 14,000 feet, friends, you're in the clouds for the most part. Mm-hmm. The day that I visited, there wasn't a cloud in the sky. It was absolutely perfect. Thank you, God. But I can only imagine. And I've been at altitude where I've felt and seen all of the clouds that are blowing by me at 50 miles an hour, and there's snow in the middle of summer. So I've experienced that, and I know. So do you guys run even though the weather is inclement?
Yes, you'll run no matter, until they feel that it is unsafe to run, and then they usually red flag the race, wait for weather to clear, and then we'll start up again. Yep.
Okay, well.
It's a process.
It is a process, yeah. And my process is trying to wrap my mind around all of this and going. And now that I've visited recently, going.
Make sure you log in on a Mobile One YouTube tomorrow and take a watch. We'll be the 22nd car off the line. So figuring 3 to 4 minutes a car. I would hope that we're off by. I guess your time would be about 10:30, maybe 11 o'clock.
10:30, 11 o'clock, just in time for church to get out.
In-wheel time needs a race team. We'll call it Scaredy Cat Racing.
Scaredy Cat. Don Armstrong white-knuckling it all the way there. Oh, my God. Well, best of luck to both of you. We'll be watching. We'll be keeping our fingers crossed, and we're thinking first place.
There you go.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Yuri, thank you, too.
Right.
God.
Scaredy Cat Racing.
White knuckle racing. Yeah, something.
Yep. The In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available 24/7 through the iHeartRadio app. Just look for In-Wheel Time Car Talk. Podcasts on your favorite podcast provider. We also video stream our 3-hour weekly show on Facebook, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com. The In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show will continue after this quick break, we hope. So stay with us, will you?
Pro-Am Auto Accessories has been serving Houston's auto enthusiasts since 1984, providing world-class products for sports cars, European sedans, and American muscle. Pro-Am is known as the place to go to find exclusive and hard-to-find parts and accessories. Pro-Am is one of the very first distributors in the USA for brands such as Recaro, Redline, Momo, Corbo, and Simpson. Located in the heart of Houston's premier retail and service corridor, the Galleria area, Pro-Am's walk-in storefront includes an 8,000-square-foot warehouse, showroom, and installation bays. Pro-Am not only sells parts and accessories, but also offers installation and service. Pro-Am is now reaching a worldwide audience through Pro-Am.com, taking its local reputation to the rest of the world. At Pro-Am Auto, you'll be dealing with a small group of professionals who truly want to help you with your automotive needs. If you don't see what you're looking for on the website, call and Pro-Am will lend you a hand. Pro-Am Auto, 6125 Richmond at Green Ridge in Houston's Galleria area. Call them at 713-781-7755. Want to feel good about something special you did for someone special? In-Wheel Time and the original Lupi Tortilla group of Tex-Mex restaurants have joined together to help a very worthy cause, God's Garage, a Christian-based 501c3 charity. We know there are lots of places and organizations out there where you can donate a car, truck, or SUV, but we're asking you, our car enthusiast family, to consider donating to God's Garage. Visit godsgarage.org and learn about its mission, the women that have been helped, how each one is screened, and about their Restore You program. A car donation is an easy way to make a difference in the lives of others. God's Garage needs good operating vehicles. Will take all types in working and non-working condition. Make your heart and soul feel good by donating your gently used vehicle and help support single mothers, widows, and wives of deployed military at godsgarage.org.
Welcome back to the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Time now for the racing calendar.
Yes, I've got some
clearly
stuff
we've
going.
got one big one coming up tomorrow.
You got the big one, but last week we didn't have a lot going on, and there's something I forgot to mention. 4 hours of Le Mans. last week. So a lot of the F1 drivers and some of the open wheel drivers were in France doing that. So my faux pas on that. But tomorrow, June 23rd, you got Virginia NHRA Nationals in Richmond, Virginia. It comes on about 3 p.m., but the station it's on is to be determined, so it'll probably be a rebroadcast. You got NASCAR tomorrow, New Hampshire Motor Speedway, so a lot of East Coast stuff going on.
New Hampshire.
New Hampshire. Tickets are still available, Mike, if you want to go.
Oh, man.
So it's going to be on USA Network.
I can only imagine you taking your accent up there to New Hampshire.
New Hampshire. Give me some cheddar with jalapenos. So the Aramco Spanish Grand Prix is going on from Friday till tomorrow. It is F1, so if you like F1, this is what you need to be watching. So there you go. IndyCar is at Laguna Seca tomorrow. It's always a cool track to do. Indy's always good to watch. And, of course, IMSA is at Watkins Glen, another road course. That is cool as well. So tune in on all of those networks.
Okay. Mr. Mars has a special feature. 5 cars under $15,000. I was thinking more along the lines of under $5,000 when I saw the cars that you were going to put up.
Well, so the idea was...
what is the idea?
If you were a younger person, or somebody even your age, for example, and you wanted
thank you for throwing me into that.
If you wanted to start a car collection, or you kind of wanted to start getting involved in the hobby, what do you look for? I mean, it's easy to say, I want a 67 GTO, or I want a 69 Camaro, or 69 Boss Mustang. It'll cost you $30,000, $40,000, $50,000.
Oh, yeah.
Not everybody can start that way. So I was trying to find something that you could start with that might actually be a vehicle.
Is this a car that you're thinking maybe your granddaughter could get into?
One of them or two of them could be, yeah. But I was thinking more of something that people seem to be having an interest in that might actually be appreciating in the near future. For example, the Mazda MX-5 Miata is a very popular car out on the track. Richard Tomlin and them run them all the time. Rare. Something that people are looking for because they are rare in the world of the Mazda Miata. So that's something that might make that 1.6 or 1.0-liter engine, 5-speed, or an automatic. So it depends on what it is, but it could be something that in the future would appreciate just because there's not a lot of them around. Another one that is a very similar thing is a Toyota MR2, particularly the AW.
MR not. Oh, yes, MR. MR2.
Again, the first generation of the MR2 that was produced from the 84 to 89. It is a mid-engine, so that's one of the things that makes it very different. It has a very distinct wedge shape. But it's the very first year that it was built, so there's not a lot of them around. So, again, that's something that could add to the appreciation of a collectability.
I could see it.
Now, the Volkswagen Golf GTI MK2. Now, this is the second generation.
Would that be the Mark II? Just the MK2.
The MK2. It is the second generation, built in 84 to 92. And it was part of that hot hatch era. It really kicked things up. Because of the performance with it and the handling, the build quality.
They scream.
And yes, they did. So again, something that could become a little more valuable in the future. The Jeep Cherokee XJ. Now this is one that you got to kind of take it with a grain of salt or leave it. You know, it's
or leave it.
It was built
the side of the road.
1984 to 2001, and it's considered one of the things that led to the popularity of the SUVs. And it's where it came in with the SUV with the off-road capability.
It's a two-door.
It's the F1 of
That
Jeeps.
is a two-door version of it, 4.0-liter engine in it.
With a V8, with no horsepower.
With the inline 6.
Oh,
a lot of torque.
Yeah. And some people have put V8s in them. You know, so it's something that could be collectible and is reasonably priced at this level for a collectible car. And then the last one that I was going to talk about is the Ford Mustang Fox Body, 1979 to 1983. Now, this thing in particular, as we talk to the Mustang guys like Randy and them, this is something they mention a lot of times is the Fox Body Mustangs because had a 5.0-liter V8 in it. So it was a pretty hot rod because it's pretty light, handled fairly well. And then it's just a matter of, body styling. Do you care for that kind of a body style on a Mustang? Mm-hmm. But the engine and the popularity among the Mustang guys are what make this potentially a car that will appreciate in the future, therefore making it collectible.
Well, there you go.
Would you
Nice.
buy that?
The Mustang, they all have a little bit of a tickle in my fancy, so I don't know. They'd have to grow on me. They would.
So Jeff, we're going to give you one of those cars.
I'll take the Fox body. Yeah.
Okay, and then after the
then
Fox body,
the GTI, the little screamer.
yeah.
And
But
then
the problem,
Miata would be in there.
the problem is
third.
with that era that those cars probably have 300,000 miles on them now.
Yeah, but you've got parts. You can get parts, and you can upgrade, and you can add on, and you can
restore
hot
reasonably
rod.
well, or hot rod. The Mustangs in particular, that Fox body, there's just tons of them out there. I mean, my aunt had one that was a convertible. It wasn't a hot rod.
Aunt who?
My aunt that lives here in Katy.
Aunt who?
Danita.
Aunt Danita.
Yeah. So she had a convertible.
That was Aunt B.
And
Wasn't Aunt B?
oh, Aunt D.
Aunt B.
But it was a real nice driving little car. It was a little car. You know, to me, it had no relationship to the earlier Mustangs of the 60s and 70s that we grew up with. But it was a neat little car, and there was tons of them around at the time, and there still are.
Yeah. And they're worth something to somebody.
Exactly. And that's what makes some of them collectible.
And we see stuff like that at some of the car events we go
We
to.
do.
We
actually.
do. Yeah.
Yes, we do. In all sorts of condition.
Yeah.
It's but you know,
Mazda with a Wankel motor in it. Yeah.
there's that. Mm-hmm. Hey, if you'd like to get in touch with us, shoot us an email. .com. And be sure to follow us on Facebook. We're back in a flash.
The original Cruise in Southeast Texas. Founder Stan Holt invites you to visit the first Lupi Tortilla near I-10 and Highway 6. Here is the original house that inspired the design of all the rest and the original charm that helped make the go-to destination for Houston Tex-Mex. Nothing can compete with the original lime pepper marinade that everyone will agree makes Lupi Tortilla award-winning beef fajitas the best anywhere. Lupi Tortilla Katy is another location that gives you the same quality and service Houstonians have come to expect at Lupi's. It's located on 99 the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard in Katy. Find yourself in Aggieland? Head to the Lupi Tortilla in College Station. Located just around the corner from Kyle Field, it's a great place to enjoy those famous frozen margaritas before or after the game. Going to Louisiana, the Lupi Tortilla in Beaumont is on I-10, so you can't miss it. The original group of Lupi Tortilla restaurants has the best Tex-Mex anywhere, and you're invited anytime. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is having a car social. Saturday, October 15th, 9. It's a cruise-in like no other. Expect Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Porsches, Corvettes, and Shelby Mustangs. Get social at this first ever event. You'll also see Gulf Coast Auto Shield's
Can I just
private
interrupt this
workshop.
commercial
Sure.
for
Go
something?
right ahead.
Because
Gulf Coast Auto
I've
Shield
loaded
is
up the
easy to
wrong.
get to at
I've
11-275
loaded
taking
up.
this off.
Houston
What?
Tollway, near West
Yeah, you
Hill
can take that
Boulevard,
off.
just south of
I've loaded up the wrong commercial.
Our social takes place
Problem is with
Saturday,
this system,
October
this
15th.
jacked up system that we've
Tell
got
your
here,
friends, bring your car and
is that I
enjoy
can't on the air.
And we can still hear it in the back.
Yeah, I know.
Learn about
Well, here.
nanoceramic coatings, ExoShield for your windshield, and XPEL window tint, among others. The In Real Time Car Talk Show will be there too.
No, it won't. That's not.
That was a previous.
What is it, Morris?
So we got
No, I can't hear you without a headset and microphone on.
So we have George,
We have George.
and I can hear George great.
But
But
George
we're not-
can't hear us.
Yeah, so I'm not sure. I'm hoping that after you pot him up, he can.
Pot him up. Hey, George, are you there?
George.
George.
George of the jungle. Nope, can't hear him. All right, well, there's that. So we'll worry about getting George on here in just a minute. He's written a book called Jim Hall and His Chaparrals by George Levy
Oh,
with
man.
Jim Hall.
Love Chaparral.
I don't know whether everybody remembers what the Chaparral actually is, but we'll get into it. Mm-hmm. Hopefully.
Cool race car.
If nothing else, we'll get into it and not know what we're talking about,
And
which
make
is
it up.
more likely than not.
Sure.
Okay. Well, why don't we go ahead and start the bottom of the hour show? Shall we?
Oh, wait. I've got to load it then. All right. We got it.
What,
Help yourself.
What do you have to load?
Help yourself.
This is a ball of confusion,
Yeah.
and we're going to rename the show just that. Thanks for putting up with our idiocy. And thanks for joining us on the In Real Time Car Talk Show. Ahead, author of a new book about the Texas racer Jim Hall. Later, Jeff has this week's Motor Minute, and I'll have this week's Stories Making Automotive News headlines. Howdy, along with Mike out of this world, Mars. We need more Jeff Zekin, IT genius David Ainsley. I'm no one that you've ever known before, and you don't ever want to get to know, because it's a big mess. That's all I can tell you. But thanks for joining us today on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. We're trying to get
audio.
Dial it up and trying to get our author George Levy on here with a great book called Texas Legends: Jim Hall and the Chaparrals. It's available to the public in July. An early launch of the book will take place June 29th in Midland, Texas, at the annual Chaparral Party on the Patio. Let's go there.
Yeah, I know. Mike?
Oh, man,
going.
I talked to him about coming out there. Not that we can, but...
we can.
It's at the museum. It's actually at the museum, and he is going to be there.
Who's he?
Mr. Hall. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure if George is going to be there or not. But, yeah, it's a big deal.
Interesting. Hall tells his story, his life, his cars, his relationship with Chevrolet, his partnership with Hap Sharp, his battles with sanctioning body bureaucracies. For the first time, to award-winning author George Levy. This is an authorized copy of Jim Hall. So it's good. Do you know what a chaparral is?
It's the style of race car.
It is. It's a bodied race car, if memory serves. And I was enamored by it. This is back in the 60s when this all started.
Yeah, a very radical design back then.
It was.
In my opinion.
Yep, it was. And let's see, there are other voices in the book called, you know these names, Jackie Stewart, Dan Gurney.
Oh, man.
Roger Penske, Jackie Ickes, John Bernard, Gordon Murray, Adrian Newey, Brian
Jackie
Redmond,
Ickes isn't with us anymore, is
Don Garlitz, Dick Smothers, Bernie Ecclestone, and Al and Bobby Unser. So
and that's one thing. The Smothers brothers were into racing, especially Dick Smothers.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, like a celebrity racing team. Sort of like the guy, the kid from Malcolm in the Middle, Munoz. He is in racing, NASCAR racing. He does ARCA and all that, yeah.
I didn't realize that. Permian Basin Petroleum Museum will host the June 29th launch in the legendary Midland, where the Chaparrals were built and where they were tested at Hall's iconic Rattlesnake Raceway.
Ooh.
So,
very
anyway,
cool.
a limited number of books will be signed by Hall and be made available by the museum. So, if you'd like to get more information on that, go to evropublishing.com.
I wonder if they would have information how to get there and, the area on what to do, hotels and all that.
Permian Basin Petroleum Museum. Look that up. Yeah. Price of the book is $80. Okay. Not cheap, but, I buy books for cut pictures.
Yeah, it's a coffee table type book.
Yeah,
big
that's
hardback.
cool.
No, It was this minute.
Yeah.
So I think we can talk to him now. He's on the phone.
Oh, he is. Okay.
Hey guys.
George, we can hear you.
Yeah, you need to turn the audio off on your computer though if you're going to use the phone audio.
We've had all sorts of technical
go.
issues this morning.
We got a computer that's on, but we don't know what it does.
Yeah. Well, George, we apologize, but apparently we don't need to apologize too far because I see a big smile on your face, so you kind of get it,
Good story.
It may be on my end. I'm not sure what's.
Oh, well, don't worry about it. It's probably on our end, too. So we'll get married.
Good story.
Listen, I love the book. Tell me for everybody that's listening or watching, what made it a chaparral? It's a certain kind of car, a bodied car.
Yeah, I think Jim and Chaparral, more than anything else, stood for innovation and a very Texas-style innovation. I think during the 50s and 60s, Chaparral was kind of the NASA of international motor racing.
Yeah.
And, I mean, where did the Chaparral race? In what division? What sanctioning body?
It was road racing both in America and abroad. They competed in the Can-Am series, which would be, I guess, most analogous to today's IMSA. They competed at the 24 Hours of Le Mans, the Nürburgring, all the great tracks around the world, and they won major races in every category they competed in.
How old is Jim now?
Jim, in about another 30 days, give or take, is going to be 89 years old.
I was going to say somewhere around 90, because I remember him having this huge mark on the auto racing industry. There was a guy that, and I don't remember what his name was, but he lived in my neighborhood back in the 60s, and he had a Chaparral style car. Now, whether it was original or whatever, but he trailered it around in an open trailer.
Yeah.
And so you could see the car when he'd pull out. And it was sponsored by Prince's Hamburgers, which means nothing to you. It is iconic hamburger joint back in the day, drive-in style hamburgers. And I'll never forget the car because it was so unique looking. There wasn't anything else like it.
Yeah, all of Jim's cars, and he had a partner, by the way, Hap Sharp at the beginning, and Jim was a Caltech engineering grad, and he drove most of the design and engineering of the cars, and they all were very innovative, but probably the one thing above everything else that drove the way the cars looked was downforce. In the 60s, no one in racing thought about downforce, using the air flowing over and under and around the car to press the car down against the track for greater traction. Jim introduced the concept of downforce, introduced wings to cars, and to give you an idea of how transformational that was, not only does every single type of racing car today take